next guest is the Executive Director of the Coalition for Pay Equity, is Johanne Perron. Johanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Very happy to have you here. You can take your time out of your busy schedule to drop on by here and join us.
My pleasure.
On our lovely set. This Friday, you guys have a really big event coming up. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, it's International Women's Day, so we wanted to highlight it. We've been teaming up with one of our sister organizations, the Regroupement Féministe du Nouveau-Brunswick, and we're setting up this evening where we will be talking, of course, about women's issues, but also take time to network and meet each other.
I'll ask the same question that I asked a man in the last segment. It is International Women's Day today, by the way. So happy International Women's Day, first of all. And second of all, what does International Women's Day mean to you personally?
Well, I guess early on in my life, I realized that being a girl was not the same as being a boy, and expectations were different. Didn't mean that I felt like I wanted to meet those expectations, or, you know, it didn't. It felt sometimes that the expectations didn't meet what I wanted, or didn't allow me to do what I wanted. So I questioned how gender influenced my life, and I guess that's why International Women's Day is so important to me, because that's a time where we can stop a little bit and look at what we've been able to change in time, over time, but also what needs to be done next. And that's what we will be doing on Friday at the Aberdeen Centre.
So it's definitely worth checking out. You can bring your checklists and we can compare whatever it is you want to do. But no, you're exactly right. It's a great day that we can all look back and look forward and see what the plan is and where we've come, but also what the plan is next. And as they always say, baby steps. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you do it one bite at a time. That's just the way some things have to go. But it's good to see that there's been some incredible progress that's been made so far. Certainly, but we're not there yet. In the event on Friday, it is called Come On, Voyons Donc, the celebration of International Women's Day. Let's dive even a little bit deeper into that. So what is going to happen at that event on Friday?
Okay. Well, we will have a bit of time to socialize, of course, but we also will have a short skit to highlight what are issues that are affecting women nowadays, seen from a woman's perspective, and then we have a round table, a panel discussion with different women's organizations representatives. So we will talk about childcare, we will talk about housing for women, violence against women, pay equity, and also gender-based analysis. So what we want to do is look at how policies could look at the impact they have on women and men, and how we could adjust the policies so that they will meet equality in the long run.
As the Coalition for Pay Equity, of course, you guys are just one part of this event on Friday. Who else is collaborating with you guys on that?
Well, like I was saying, we are organizing the event with our sister organization, the Regroupement Féministe du Nouveau-Brunswick, but we also invited other women's groups that we've been working with, the YWCA from Moncton, the Transition House Coalition, and then the Women's Empowerment Network, the St. John Women's Empowerment Network. So we will each talk about the issues that we are working on right now, what we've been doing in the past, what has been moving forward, but also what we want to see in the next steps, and probably in the next provincial budget.
Yeah, and that is coming up real soon too, as much as we just heard the last one, and we're going to get more details coming up, but that's still, still the plans are coming up. Let's talk a little bit more generally. 2019, what does this year mean for the Coalition for Pay Equity?
Well, there's been some progress that's been happening, important progress. There's legislation that has been passed at the federal level, actually, for federally regulated employers. So that includes the government, the federal government, but also communications, interprovincial transportation, banks. So that's a big step forward. It's not into effect yet, but we're hoping it will come into effect soon. So that's probably our main gain. Other gains are that the Pay Equity Act that we have for the province here in the public sector is has been progressing, like the implementation of the act has been progressing. I should say that pay equity is equal pay for work of equal value. So we're not talking about the same job, same pay. So that's what people are used to. That would be pay parity. But pay equity goes one step further. We're comparing jobs that are mostly done by women with jobs that are mostly done by men. And if they have the same value, they should be paid the same. So it could be the assistant accountant that could be compared with the car salesman in the same car dealership. So we're really looking at something different, but what we see is that often jobs that have been mostly done by women are underpaid. So a good example of that is certainly childcare workers or home support workers. And so in the next provincial budget, we're hoping that the government will be adjusting wages, or will be providing some public investment in the wages of workers in the caregiving sector and the child care sector. The wages in most of the caregiving sector are around $12 to $15 an hour right now, which really does not at all reflect the value of that work when you think of the responsibility especially, but also the effort, working conditions, the qualifications that are required. Really, we need to look at it seriously and make major progress in those wages.
A lot of what you've outlined involves the provincial government in particular. So I guess my next question would be, what was your relationship like with the previous Liberal government, and how does it compare with the current PC government? Because of course the government is different this year. So how does it compare, do you find, between the two?
Well, certainly the Liberal government was talking a lot about women's issues. Things didn't go as fast as we wanted, but certainly we heard a lot of what we wanted to hear, and things did move forward though, thinking about the childcare plans that have been put in place. Still not totally all what we need, but it's really moving in the right direction. Now,
progress is progress.
Yeah, that's it. So we were quite encouraged by the fact that the current government has decided to continue forward with that plan. We still don't know what they will do with the wages of the caregiving workers, because the previous government had promised to increase them, but only starting this year. So now we will know what are the plans soon, I hope. The budget is on March 19. In terms of pay equity legislation for the private sector, at the last provincial election, 3 parties promised pay equity legislation for the private sector. And that's really something we want to see, because most women work in the private sector, and we know that there are big needs there. But the Progressive Conservatives and the People's Alliance didn't mention pay equity. So we are now trying to meet people who can make the decisions and also educate all the MLAs, really. We always worked with all parties because, well, pay equity is not a partisan issue, it's really a social issue. And we feel that all parties should make sure that we respect pay equity as a human right, really. It's recognized as a human right, and it's our expectation is that our government will ensure that it's being recognized and implemented.
No, for sure. We've got about a minute, unfortunately, because I have so much that I actually really do want to get into and ask you about. Just very quickly, do you find the work that you guys do with the Coalition for Pay Equity, do you find that there's kind of a public part and then a private part, or do you find you just kind of can pick and kind of get yourself into everything?
Well, a lot of our work is public, really. It's a lot of education of the public, education of employers, but also education of our politicians. So we do a lot of public work, a lot of presentations. We like it when people call us to give presentations, for sure. We use a lot the social media, so please follow us on the social media, and you can find more information about our event this Friday. So yeah, that's
a great segue, because you can also check out the website equity-equity.com, which is there on the screen, and on Facebook as well. You can check it out. Sometimes the Facebook update's a little bit quicker, so that would be the way to do it. Johanne Perron, the Executive Director of the Coalition for Pay Equity, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.